Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. In this series, we are going to learn SQL from basics to advanced level with real-time examples. This video is designed for students, job seekers and working professionals who want to learn and master SQL. Let's begin with basics of SQL. In this video, let's focus on the following concepts. The first one is data and the second one is database and third one is DBMS and fourth one is RDBMS and fifth one is SQL. If you know SQL, you can target the following roles in the data industry, that is data analyst roles, data scientist role, data engineer role and business analyst role and SQL developer, software engineer and database administrator. Now let's see the prerequisites to learn SQL. So these prerequisites need to be installed in your PC. So one is RDBMS tools and the second one is integrated development environment. So in RDBMS tools, so we have four types of RDBMS tools. So one is the Postgres SQL and its corresponding IDE environment, that is integrated development environment, that is the PG admin, and the second one is MySQL and its corresponding MySQL Workbench IDE, and third one is Microsoft SQL Server and its corresponding IDE Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio, and the fourth one is the Oracle and its corresponding IDE is the SQL Developer. So IDE is nothing but it is an integrated development environment. It is a software application that provides all the tools needed to write, edit, test and debug programs in one place. In simple terms, an IDE helps programmers develop software more easily and efficiently. Let's see the basic terminologies used in SQL. Let's see the first one, that is the data. So data is simply information. So what is the kind of information? So generally, let's see, for example, your name is the information, your age is also information, your marks also information, and your mobile number is also information, your bank balance is also information. All these are simply a data. So data can be any form such as a text message or an image or a video or a document or simply a single character, etc. So these all are nothing but simply a data. So simply data is nothing but information. Now let's move on to, after data, let's go for the database. So the database is a container which stores the information. So information is nothing but what? It is a data. So simply the database is a container which stores the information electronically in a computer system. So every company, almost all the companies can use databases to store the data. So the fundamental requirement of the database is to store the data. So for example, if you consider a bank database, so a bank database can store its customer details and the account numbers of the customers and transactions of the customers and loans details of that particular customer. So, and these things, that customer details, account numbers, transactions and loan details, all these things are stored in the form of tables. Later we will see what is the table. And the table generally it's look like this form. So it contains three rows, IDE and IDE value, okay, and three columns. So one is the ID and another one is the name and another one is the balance. So this row ID is the row, 1 is also the row and 2 is also the row. So this each row can be called as it is a record. Each row is simply it is a record and each column, so these are the columns, so these columns can be called as a field. So this is the general form of a table. So now let's move on to next concept, that is a DBMS. DBMS stands for a database management system. So database management system is a software which is used to manage your database which earlier we created. So simply in simple words, simply it interact with the database. So that means the DBMS can interact with the database which is already created one. So the DBMS can help to create databases and to store the data, to update data and to delete data, to retrieve the data. For these applications we can use the DBMS. So the popular DBMS softwares are currently available in the market is SQL, that is MySQL and PostgreSQL and Oracle database and Microsoft SQL Server, Snowflake, etc. So almost all the companies can utilize these DBMS tools to manage large amounts of data. Now let's move on to another concept, that is RDBMS. RDBMS stands for Relational Database Management System. It is a type of DBMS that stores data in multiple tables. So the table maybe in the previous slide we have seen the table is like this. So it having n number of rows as well as n number of columns. So now the data can be stored in a multiple tables. So here this is a table 1 and suppose if you take one more table, so it also having n number of rows and n number of columns. So each table can contain set of rows. So this is the rows, these are the rows, and it also contains set of columns. So these are the columns. So the tables, suppose this is the table 1 and this is the table 2, and these two tables are connected to each other through a common column. So compulsory it must satisfy. So the table 1 contain, if the column name is ID, the table 2 also may contain ID column. So then only if the column names are matched from table 1 to table 2, so then only the tables are connected to each other. So then if the columns are matched, therefore that can be creating some relationship. So then only if the relationship established, then we can join the tables. Anyway, we can see in the latter part of the videos, we can see how the joins are exist, how the joins will create. So that part we will see the later part of the videos. Okay, so simply here the tables are connected to each other through the common columns. Now let's move on to uh, after creating the table. So therefore in the table we have certain number of columns. So therefore each column has certain name and the data type. So every column can be as name. It has, we can define different name, we can assign different name, we can assign different data type, and the data type can be, it can be set as a data role which is associated to every column. Only those data that satisfy this data role can be inserted into specific column. So for example, if ID column is created, so this ID column can contain the values 1, 2, 3. So the data type of this 1, 2, 3, these are the numeric numbers. So the data type is, we can consider it is integer. We have to consider the integer. So if you insert any new row or new column, it should satisfy the data rule. So what is the data type present? What is the data type we can be given for the first column ID? So that ID column data type is what? Integer. So then only it will consider, then only it will inserted that data other than integer. Suppose if a is there, so I want to insert a, so therefore it cannot be inserted because a is a character. But what is the data type we are defining here? Integer, but a is the character. So here the data rule must be satisfied. So we defined the integer, then only we can insert integer. So later we can insert only 4, afterwards we can insert 5, but not later. So this is the data type. And a row can be treated as a record which is formed by a single or multiple columns. So for example, so this is a table, okay, and this table can has a multiple rows, okay, or a single row. So okay, so this is the single row, this is the row 1, this is the row 2, this is the row 3. So simply a row can be treated as, every row can be treated as a record, and which is formed by a single row or a single row or single or multiple columns. Simply we can consider it is as a multiple columns also. In RDBMS, using DBMS, you can enter commands in specific language to store, to retrieve, to modify data. So this specific language is called SQL. So here the SQL, where when is SQL comes into the picture? So in RDBMS tools can use the DBMS. So in the DBMS, we can enter commands in a specific language to store, to retrieve, to modify data. So this specific language is called SQL. So SQL stands for, it is a structured query language, and it can be defined as, it is a programming language which is used to interact with the relational database management system, that is RDBMS. So by using the SQL, you can read the data from RDBMS. So the first point is what? We can read the data from RDBMS. We can write the data into RDBMS. We can create the data. We can modify the data. We can delete the data. We can also delete the database also. And we can also analyze the data. We can also build the reports. So for this purpose, we can use SQL. So in data industry or in data science jobs or in data science job roles, so everyone must learn this SQL. So if you are serious about learning SQL from basics to advanced level, subscribe to my channel and turn on notification. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.